Donovan, how you feeling?
Vindicated.
Nice.
Vindicated on your behalf too, because people, you were the face of like OKC fandom for the year. I was also right there with you like a year ago. I was like, yo, they're winning the title. It is what it is. I've been a Shea fan, and now we're here, champions. Ring them.
I catch the Glaze hate for you on behalf of all of us. We all agree OKC's gonna win, but I'm the only one that gets the Glaze hate. How you feeling?
Me personally, I feel almost like a pioneer. Almost like a trailblazer. A lot of y'all don't remember this, but way back in like the year 2023, I got gifted a pair of underwear.
You did?
Not any kind of underwear, though. Specifically, they were called Shundies. Handmade, homemade, inside of the Isaac factory. Super embarrassing. Luckily, I burned them because I'm like, hey, man, this is hella embarrassing to have. But I got gifted those because of I was a Shea Glazer for whatever reason. And now I feel vindicated. Why? Just like you, OKC has finally won the championship. But before we get into our big hoorah, I have to sentence some people to certain things.
Okay.
Lashes. Lashes for all of you. First up, lashes to the Shea haters. Second, lashes to the J-Dub doubters. Third, lashes Josh Giddey fans. Fourth, lashes for you OKC haters overall for this historic moment that we just witnessed.
Well, I can't sentence anybody to lashes. He got that. But like you guys see, we're here to talk about the NBA Finals. We're recording this 10:43 p.m. Central Time. We just finished watching the ceremony. We saw the whole hoorah. Shea accept the trophies. Dedicated to J-Dub. Dedicated to the rest of his homies on the team. Yeah, here to react to that. Talk about all things NBA Finals. Say goodbye to the 2024-2025 NBA season. It's officially wraps. After that, by the end of this episode, we're also going to talk about the Kevin Durant trade because that happened to happen on the same day of the Game 7 of the Finals. Ridiculous timing. Lots to talk about in this emergency full episode of the show. Cue the intro music.
The cranium is crazy. Oh my God.
I mean, I really don't know what to say.
Crayon eaters rejoice.
So yeah, like we said up top, OKC is obviously the defending champions now. Oh, I'm sorry. Like we said up top, OKC is obviously our newest champion. I guess first and foremost, I got to talk about the downside of tonight, the horrible downside actually. Another torn Achilles tendon for a bright young star in the NBA. Tyrese Halliburton went out in the first quarter with the torn Achilles. We're assuming, right? I don't know if it's confirmed yet, but
it was confirmed.
Oh, okay, yeah. Even if it wasn't, it was textbook, right? You saw that. We were watching and we were like, oh shit, he's crying. What's going down? Yeah. They show the replay once. You see the pop. It's my first. How could this happen 3 times to 3 superstars in one playoff run? That is the most, just in terms of the landscape of the NBA, what it means for these guys' careers, where they're at, the most unfortunate playoff run of injuries I can remember.
Yeah. And listen, ESPN made sure that you saw
gosh.
it. I mean, they were playing the replay up until the third quarter, and it's like, obviously, especially now, like, I feel like if this was in like 1990 where you don't have Twitter on your phone, like maybe it would be acceptable to do that because like, all right, people are trickling in. If I have Twitter up on my phone and I'm watching this game, I know what the injury looked like. Yeah. And you don't have to keep showing it over and over and over again. And then
I bet you they're showing it right now as we speak in commercials.
That's what I'm saying. And then keep zooming in on Tyrese crying on the floor, banging the floor, doing all that. Like, I understand. Yes, you do have to do your job and like show what's going on in this event. But after a certain point, like, bro, relax.
Yeah, we understand.
Relax.
And it sucks because, like, obviously we opened the show by talking about how we all believe in OKC from the jump. We were all, since, at least for us two, you, I think, picked Denver at one point, but you pretty quickly turned to realize OKC was going to win. We've been on this train for the whole time, so we had faith in them. We all believed they were going to win this Game 7, win this series. Confidence never wavered. But on the entertainment side of it, for sure, this was going to be one of the most exciting Game 7s you could imagine. Even though we believed OKC was going to win, it's a Game 7. Anything can happen. This Pacers team had proven that they were more than good enough to win. It was not a guarantee at all, even if someone like me were made confident. It wasn't 100% or anything. You can't guarantee anything in this type of game, so it just sucks that the chance for an all-time classic series, game, ending, like defining part of history was kind of snatched from us at the last second.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right about that. During the first 7 minutes of the game, Tyrese Halliburton came out gunslinging. In 7 minutes, he had like 9 points, smacked 3 ridiculous threes, and he was just heated. He was on one, talking crazy, absolutely. And all of his other teammates were just like drowning themselves in the like dark energy that everyone's been talking about throughout the entire postseason. And then like once this happened, it felt obviously the Pacers kept themselves in the game. Yeah, he was talking crazy, man. But obviously the Pacers kept themselves in the game. But we all knew like they would never be able to succumb to like the mammoth level defense that OKC has.
And like whether or not they would have won either way, I don't really care for the conversation. Obviously, if you are somebody rooting against OKC, you're gonna get your slander off, get your jokes off. I understand. So is what it is. Comes with the territory. Unfortunate that we didn't get to see both these teams at full strength. But, you know, shout out the Pacers, man. Just before we move on to talking about the Thunder for a fucking hour or whatever it's going to be, shout out the Pacers. Before this playoff started, they were seen, I'll speak just for us up here. The rest of the NBA community probably felt the same. Well, not probably, did feel the same way. But at least for us, they were a cute team. That nice, strong end of the season, post-January 1st, were real good. Yawn. Show me in the playoffs. You don't have the superstar. You don't have the high-end defensive talent. We're not going to pick you to beat the Cavs. We're not going to pick you to beat the Celtics and so on. There was no elements, no space in our mind to consider a Pacers deep playoff run, let alone a finals run, let alone a Game 7 against a 68-win team that would go on to win it all. There wasn't a single bit of us that considered that a possibility. And obviously, we've talked at length over these 4 playoff rounds about how they proved us all wrong, how they elevated, how they showed us in the regular season, and we should have believed them. We've given them their flowers. But you just can't say enough about how legendary of a run this is, even though they didn't win.
Yeah, and obviously, like the Tyrese, it's crazy because everything about this team has been like the pace at which they play with, the chaos in which their offense operates in, and then it sucks because it's bookended with Tyrese Halliburton.
Mm-hmm.
Like you on one end, you have the 4 Tyrese game-winning shots, and then on the other end, the closing shot for this Pacers series is going to be Tyrese Halliburton getting hurt in Game 7, and so that's kind of in a package is like Tyrese was going crazy, and then they weren't able to finish it out. There was a moment in this game at halftime where you're like, maybe they can do it because they go in a half up
1.
They go in a half up 1. You get to the third quarter, they're not getting a lot of offense. TJ McConnell's like, I'm here. I'm going to save the day. And he did everything in his power.
Give him 8 straight points.
10 straight. He got 5.
It was ridiculous.
The offense, like, it was at the point where I think they were up by like 10 or so, the OKC was, and then they came back and took the 1 point lead, like you said, purely off of TJ McConnell buckets. And they weren't just like, it wasn't OKC even bad defense. He was hitting crazy, tough, difficult shots. We talked in the last episode about that and how he was cooking them. And I said, like, he's cooking them because they're allowing him to attack one-on-one. And they're saying, we're going to make it so you're not a passer. You're going to have to beat us one-on-one as a scorer, TJ. And we'll live with that. And that's, like, not a bad idea. That's, like, a totally respectable defensive game plan. Mm-hmm. And he just said, it doesn't matter. Respect this, bitch. He hit 5 straight buckets on you, on your best defenders. It didn't matter.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, because I had asked you guys, I was like, okay, what are we gonna do? And again, over the aggregate, you're like, cool. If TJ's gonna beat us, it's fine. We're in Game 7. Right? So if he's going off and he's getting 10 straight, 12 straight points, whatever it is, that's something where obviously if Tyrese was there, it might have looked different. He might not have even had the opportunity to do that. But those are the things where in Game 7s. We're going to go back and be like, yo, TJ McConnell was cooking. Like, he was
flow state.
And it's so crazy to sit down and think about OKC as like this all-time generational defensive team that had to throw double teams at a 5'11" white man who looks like he works at your average accounting firm. It's just so crazy to see the things that not only TJ McConnell, but overall expanding towards this, the Indiana Pacers and how they were able to ship-shape and morph as a team identity-wise on the defensive end too. That's so rare to see a team take this level of leap during a postseason run through just simple adjustments. And like Rick Carl, he's regardless of how this series panned out, he's in history, bro. He is in history through the levels of adjustments and how much of a buy-in he got all these players to go ahead and do.
100%. And a lot was talked about over the last couple of weeks since the finals began that if the Pacers win, this will be a new blueprint everyone's going to follow. This will show how you don't have to tank. You can do so-and-so and so-and-so. A lot was made of like what the implications would be if they put together the last bit of this run and actually won it all, beating this juggernaut that no one's expecting them to win against. Obviously, that didn't happen. I still feel that way. I still feel like there is many takeaways you can do, many ways that this team will kind of like impact the meta of the NBA, impact the way certain market teams see team building. Like, much can be learned from the way they built this team over the years with a lot of smart swings around the margins, making the star trade when the right star was available, like Siakam, getting Tyrese Halliburton via trade, just continuously being really smart, wasting zero assets, not doing anything without thinking it through. All of that still applies to all the teams that could emulate it. And like you said, Rick Carlisle, so much can be learned from the way he maximizes talent defensively.
Facts. And so you have the Pacers on one hand, and then either way, you were going to get kind of a new-ish structure for like how to build a team. And honestly, I say that OKC is low-key because of how young everybody is. They kind of are on like the old timeline. We can have a big three and we can have three guys and then a bunch of role players because nobody's making money like that for like you haven't had to pay Chet and J-Dub and Shea and all that. So that's
Shea,
I know
what you mean.
But yeah, so that's like the interesting part on their end. And now you have the youngest champion that we've seen in a long, long time.
Is it
ever?
Is it? Yeah, it's the youngest ever.
They were the youngest ever. They were the youngest
they
team
said in like
the NBA
48
season.
years.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks at the youngest of the modern NBA. I haven't fact checked it.
Yeah.
Their average age is 24.7 years old.
They were the youngest team in the league.
I looked it up what the Warriors 2015 team was because obviously there's a lot of parallels there. That was like 26 and a half. So this is substantially younger than the 2015 Warriors who won it all. Yeah, I guess, shout out to Pacers. Lots to talk about. We'll talk about the impact of Tyrese Halliburton going out for probably the whole next year and everything in the future as we keep going. But salute to them. Amazing run. Man, the Thunder. Like you said, the implications of this team, man. The fact that obviously, okay, well, let's go through all the things we've said about them over the year and kind of like check the boxes. Greatest rebuild of all time, right?
Yes.
Easily. This Sam Presti, he's been GM for OKC, I believe, since like 2007.
Yeah.
Brother, it's been like 17, damn near 18 years. He's made so many mistakes, but through those mistakes as well, he's made the greatest, single-handedly some of the greatest moves that any GM could do, which is just sniffing out top-tier talent that the NBA has to offer when it comes to superstars. And yes, he's had minor slip-ups, whether it be like how he handled the James Harden thing and all that. That's probably like easily one of the 10 biggest mistakes anyone could make in NBA history. But with how he recouped all the assets and sold off on Paul George at the perfect time. Same thing at Russell Westbrook. Snatched away Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from that PG-13 trade and didn't necessarily want to full-on bottom out and was kind of like he created some half-assed team with CP3, Danilo Gallinari, Dennis Schroeder was there. Got all types of random guards in the room alongside your potential young star and Shea at the time. And now to see everything working in unison, and they're at this point in time super greedy. They got like 11 first-round picks over the next 3 years. This is easily by far, like, I don't know what the second best rebuild is, but this is by far the best.
There's other rebuilds that are like in terms of outcome, as good or better. The Warriors around Curry, they rebuilt that, made that crazy team.
Sure.
Obviously, Jerry West had some legendary rebuilds in his time for other organizations, maybe the Lakers. There's other ones out there, but a lot of those involve getting one of the best players of all time, maybe having a number one pick and getting a Magic Johnson, whatever it may be. This one was done in such a short period of time. It was a 2-year tank job after a couple big trades, like you mentioned, to turn it all around. It was drafting J-Dub at pick, what was he, 12?
11, 12, something like
12, getting an all-star there. The only real lottery luck they had was getting the number 2 pick for Chet. Outside of that, it was strictly incredible moves that were just finding the right value and sometimes doing things that were like audacious that nobody expected them to do. It wasn't just a given, like, you got the number 1 pick, you happen to get Victor Wembanyama. It wasn't like that type of like obvious thing. Even the Shea thing, like, a lot of people thought he was going to be really good. Nobody thought he'd be an MVP.
Yeah.
They probably didn't even think he was going to be MVP when that happened. So part of it is luck, I guess, in that regard. But overall, it's just, it's so impressive that you mentioned the James Harden trade as like a big blight. That shit will be a footnote in the story of Sam Presti because of this. You know how good you have to be to make us forget about you giving up on James Harden, the MVP?
A scoring leader, a dude who averaged like 34, 36 a game for a single season.
You have to be in your bag for that not to matter, for that not to be a blight that anybody cares about.
And for OKC fans to go through the heartbreak, of just a couple years ago in 2016, this is easily the most heartbreaking thing to ever be witnessed. in modern NBA history. Having your superstar guy in KD leave your organization for the team that you just blew a 3-1 lead to.
Tough.
Shot to the chest. Crazy. Madness. They went through so much. Just 3 years ago. Lou Dort was over here averaging 17 points per game for these guys. I did not forget those days.
And people make fun of them because it was only a couple years of tanking. So they're like, oh, boo-hoo, you don't have to deal with so much. You guys weren't actually that bad. I have the benefit, the memory of being around for those years. People were on TV talking about OKC like they were a blight on the universe. Like they were disrespecting the game of basketball because of how bad they were. Because people saw Poku out there. Who was that guard that did the floaters? Oh, what was his name? He was tough. He was that G League guard who came to get minutes.
Oh, I know that.
He's the running hook shots.
It was the hooks.
Oh, what was his name?
I forget his name. I forgot.
They have a whole lot of cast of characters that are going to be forgotten about in NBA history, and they were trotting them out there, losing games. People talk about them like they were abysmal, like it wasn't going to amount to shit, and it worked.
And now you got guys like Darius Baisley, right? He's tweeting the team. He's a part of it. And that when you win the title now, it's like, you remember those days we were 22 and 60? Crazy times.
They're all part of the journey.
Whatever. But this specific team, like you said, greatest rebuild of all time. Yes.
Xavier Simpson.
They are they're on the short list for one of the greatest single seasons of all time. Right? Obviously, 72-10 has it. Wherever you want to parse 73-9 because you don't have the ring, whatever. But in terms of most wins in the regular season, getting over 80 wins in a overall season, you have that. You have the MVP, scoring leader, Finals MVP, crazy.
All in the same year.
Which doesn't happen.
They checked every box.
Yeah, and specifically just MVP and Finals MVP for guards, that does not happen. The only two people to do that is Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson. To win MVP, the title, and Finals MVP, obviously, in the same season. It's just them. Like, Magic did it once. Jordan did it twice.
Yeah. So, obviously, organizationally, beautiful turnaround. The players on this team, the players that make this up, right? Obviously, shout out Sam Presti for doing his job to get them there. These guys, man. And this is the part that, like, especially me, has been a glazer for these guys over the last couple of years, apparently. Last year, we see J-Dub have a incredible start to the season. Clearly a star in the making. Didn't make an All-Star or anything last year, but it was obviously there. The only thing I always went back to early last year when I got the Glazer title is because I said he's going to be as good or better than Jaylen Brown. That's the type of second option I thought we were working with, that type of two-way wing. I have no problem saying that came to be true. Chet Holmgren, we've long said that he's going to be one of the best defenders in the NBA, that even though he won't be the star first option scorer that people love to glamorize, love to pick above him in player comps, he will always be a strong contributor to winning basketball simply by the nature of his skills and how he compounds with other stars, makes everybody better on the defensive end. Oh, offensively, he was fucking horrendous in the series. But when his hip he's not recovering from that injury, you see the eventual way for him to be a good role man, be a guy who spaces the floor, do all the small stuff there that hopefully we see better next year, albeit he was bad this year, like I said. But he lived up to that. He will be at the very worst, glue guy, star type of player like a Draymond that will be an elevator, everybody around him forever. And then Shea. We talk about how unforeseen this level of rebuild is. The main part of why that rebuild is so unforeseen is because of how unforeseen his development is. You rarely see a guy get this good in this type of path. To go from having signs, being an intriguing young player that, works his way up, but isn't, for at least the first 3 years of his career, isn't a premier talent. Nobody's talking about him the way Paolo Banchero's talking about this age, the way even Kate Cunningham's talking about this age. He wasn't in these convos when he was 22 years old. Then to immediately go 3 straight years, first team, all pro, continue to check that box, then check second MVP, then MVP, and now we're looking at one of the best scoring seasons of all time by a guard, and you're a great two-way player, and you're a finals MVP. Like, he's truly worked himself up to being an NBA legend. And it's in a way that we don't often see.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And what's been the most irritating part about all this is seeing how hated he is and how hated this OKC team is for whatever reason. Earlier today, I tweeted something about like, man, this is like such history that we're witnessing. After someone tweeted us, I was like, "Oh, could you guys watch this disgrace of basketball?" Blah, blah, blah. We've gone to this time and time again.
You want to look through my mentions? It'd be funny.
Okay, go ahead. Let's look at it live. Let's live react to your mentions right now.
Okay, let me pull them up.
I know people got the bats and the hammers ready for you, regardless.
Yeah, but keep going. Keep
yeah. So, again, seeing how hated he is throughout this entire time span and how people just constantly ignore the tough mid-range twos, the fadeaways, how he's cutting and dicing into the rim, how each and every single game he's making massive improvements, whether it be his playmaking, his vision, getting to his spots and knowing that there's always like backline defenders coming for his neck is ridiculous. And the only thing people acknowledge, free throws, he's flopping. There's so many layers to his game.
Damn, man. The person who somebody tweeted us, he just mentioned, they added all three of us and they said, like, how can you support this flopping bitch? How can you enjoy this basketball? And I quoted it, said the banner has the same material either way. With this picture of Future, the guy put his account on private because I guess we made it.
You can't talk shit and not stand on it, man. That's so embarrassing.
But yeah, people were really mad at me at this. I'll just scroll through it. I don't gotta mention anybody, but they're pissed because listen, like you said, this is a very hated team, and obviously we've been very supportive of them all year. And I think, especially with me, people were like, why do you like this team so much? I am not a fan of the OKC Thunder. I don't give a fuck about Oklahoma. Don't give a fuck about this organization. For the reasons you said, the hatred around them has just like galvanized us to support them. Because from the jump start of this year, we said they will win the championship. Yeah. As soon as we saw them add Isaiah Hartenstein, as soon as we saw them add Alex Caruso, after already being the 1 seed, already having a second place MVP finisher, and 2 guys who we think will be future All-Stars, and a slew of other good young players, and a slew of picks to match that and get better over the years. They add 2 elite veteran role players, answer the experience questions that plagued them last year. You know, you could say that's why they lost against the Mavericks. If you want to relitigate that, that was always a narrative, right? It was that they weren't ready for it. They didn't have the veteran presence. They didn't have XYZ. They add 2 players who check every box we think that answers those questions immediately. We say, oh, okay, then that means they're probably going to be the favorites out west. Immediately it's, you're glazing. Get it out of your mouth. What are you talking about? Why do you love them so much? At a certain point, if we keep saying things and we keep having belief in a team and they all keep coming true, at what point does glazing just mean you are looking at what's in front of you and noticing the obvious? Yeah.
Also, if you are an OKC hater, tonight does have to suck because obviously they won the championship. Nobody played well offensively. So like you could point to this game and be like, oh my gosh, like how are they winning? How is this going down? Jalen Williams, J-Dub, 7 for 20 from the field, 2 for 7 from 3. Shea, 8 for 27, 2 for 12 from 3.
They're 30 shots, holy shit.
Lou Dort, 3 for 10 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3. You have this trio of guys who didn't play well offensively, right? Everything was very, very sloppy. And J-Dub, after having that 40-point masterpiece, had 2 straight games of like, yo, this is rough, right? Like it's not going well. And then obviously like game 7s have a certain tempo to them where a lot of times they're rock fights and they are ugly. And you've seen stars before, most notably Kobe in 2010, where he goes 6 for 24, but he has 12 rebounds. Same thing here. Shea shoots terribly. He has 12 assists and 1 turnover. Like that, like being able to figure out how to still be effective even when your shot is not falling. Like those are the things where at the end of the day, and especially in a game 7, you really, really like rely and count on.
Yeah, and obviously, like you said, this is a funny night to be a hater because you were given so much fuel. Yeah. There was a few bad calls that, of course, everybody clips out against when the Thunder get a call going their way.
The one everyone's going to clip out, it was at
the one where he grabs his hand.
It was actually egregious.
Yeah, like, it was missed calls. It was for sure missed calls.
Right. Ref couldn't be.
Who was it? Case and Wallace?
Yeah. Ref couldn't be further than where I am from Isaac. And Case and Wallace holds McConnell's wrist like this, and they don't call the foul.
And again, it was a missed call for sure. But of course, you know, that's the main thing people think about because they got to grasp for it because they want to say, this is the only reason they're winning. Not the legendary defense, not the MVP score, not so-and-so and so-and-so. And I get it. You know, it comes to the territory. What makes fandom go is hating on the team you don't want to win. And, you know, if people decide this is the team they don't like.
But I feel like hating has gotten worse over the years.
Oh,
like
for sure
back when we were all younger, like 18, 20 years old or whatever, we hate it at a much more effective level. We hate it with logic, you know? Yeah. This is just nonsense that's going on now.
Yeah, again, we've talked about it all year. The reasons people have decided they hate Shea specifically, if you want to hate the Thunder because they're a physical defense and whatever, go for it. By all means. The hate around Shea has been so nonsensical. But again, I'm like over it. It comes to the territory. Like to argue with people on why they shouldn't hate him is such a waste of time. Like that's what happens when you're on top of the mountain. You get people that don't want to pray on your downfall. And this is an age of the internet where hatred, slander, trolling is the new mode of communication. So be it. Yeah, the banners hang nevertheless.
Yeah, people have turned hating into their personality.
Which
it's kind of whack. But no. Not all the time. Not all the time. Not all the time. Okay. Specifically now, and I will
kettle,
and I will talk.
I need that clip.
And as that,
what did the pot call the kettle?
And as that,
no, you're definitely like aficionado of hating. You understand the layers of hating and like the ways.
There's a science.
Your bag is
you're
deep
right.
enough. Your bag is deep enough that you can see these people are one dimensional and their heart's not really in it. They don't really have like the real love of the game.
Exactly. You're right.
No, I get it.
You're right.
I get it. Yeah, you're not the same. If you hate somebody, you're gonna have a little more personal reason, not like, oh, foul merchant. I don't like it.
They don't make them like you anymore.
We gotta get them back in the lab, man. They gotta take some fucking notes.
Exactly.
Because man, I've never seen so many unsuccessful hate watching my mentions.
This guy.
The last. It's so funny because, like I said, I don't care about this team, but I was so galvanized to root for them. And the last like 3 episodes of our show, if you go look at the full episodes, look in the comments, it's always people as soon as OKC is down a game, as soon as they lose a game, I can't wait to laugh at Isaac all summer. I can't wait to dunk on him. Ooh, he's too confident. I hate it. They were just like dying to know what would happen if they got to laugh at me.
I love it. And it's not gonna happen.
I guess we'll never know. We're never gonna fucking know.
I feel kind of bad for Tatum because everybody uses that line and like everyone like recreates the Kanye moment. Tatum did it and was like, "Look at this guy, he's corny as hell."
Yeah.
Well, we're talking about unnecessary hate. Tatum's a whole new bag of worms to talk about. But yeah, man, like just shout out OKC. I think over the years they'll become to be more appreciated, but also
they're not.
Also, they'll always be hated. Again, comes with the territory.
Especially, I mean, you're talking about it over the years, bro. Like we all know, I think over the last 7 years or so, we haven't had a back-to-back NBA champion, and us as NBA fans have been starved of like knowing, oh my God, who's gonna be the next dynasty? Is it gonna be the 2023 Nuggets? Is it gonna be the 2024 Boston Celtics? Because you know their star wing duo is 27, 26 years old. This OKC team legitimately has the best chance out of every single one because they're not string holded by contracts like the 2023 Denver Nuggets were, and all these role players that they have are dumb young and they're going to be around for a while, and they don't have to pay anybody. And like the 2024 Boston Celtics, again, contract reasons, everyone's dumb young and no one's going to be paid disgusting bags. So they have the young nucleus to thrive for the next few years. On top of that too, of course, the main talking point is the countless picks, the endless picks that they have.
Yeah, there's no Drew Holiday fall off coming because he's getting old. There's no Kristaps Porzingis injury concerns, knock on wood, as of yet. So far, everybody in the court is healthy and reliable.
Dicey with Chet a little bit at times.
Yeah, we'll see. If he breaks his fucking hip again, that'll be a problem. But for now, there's nothing that like every year we're like, oh, can we get him healthy for a run? So far, but that obviously can change at any moment. So that would be, if they don't make a deep run for coming years, that would be why, because injuries sneak up on you. Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton a day ago was primed to have a good run next year, and now we're like, fuck, this is horrible. So can happen at any moment. The looming question will be the new NBA landscape with the second apron is explicitly set up to prevent teams like this from having elongated periods of success. It's like the whole goal of the new NBA, as the league and NBAPA have bargained it, is to create parity and prevent teams from having long windows where they can keep great teams and get really expensive. So this will be the ultimate test of that, right? They're going to have to pay these stars eventually. Chet and J-Dub will get paid very soon. They're going to have to use those picks. They're going to have to continue to replenish the roster around the edges because they're going to lose guys. They might lose a Casey Wallace one day. They'll damn sure lose an Alex Caruso, Hartenstein one day. And, you know, if we're giving Sam Presti all this praise, he will be the deciding factor of how long this run can go.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. They have Topic coming in next
year.
Yeah. Shout out Topic. He has a ring.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because even though that they won the title and they did it in very dominant fashion, especially with the run that they had in the third quarter, a lot of the cracks that you saw from OKC we're still there tonight.
Definitely.
In terms of having like just 3-point volume and having guys who can consistently knock down shots. Like last year, the Thunder were amazing from the 3-point line. And this year they weren't able to replicate that. If they shot as well from the 3 this year as they did last year, they would have swept every single series. Like it would have never been a question. But you have 3-point shooting that you have to address. You have some dribble stuff and offensive creation that you have to handle. You still have some bench things that need to be tightened up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there's still room around the margins for them to improve. But
that's a good point. This is one of the most flawed all-time teams ever.
It's weird.
Like this is like you said, 68 wins. You said 80 total wins counting the playoffs. Whatever the number was, I forgot.
84.
There's a lot of ways this team measures all-time great, whether it be the total wins, the 80 before 20, net rating top 5 all-time. This is one of the most successful seasons teams of all time. Deeply flawed. Not a single high-volume shooter on the roster. Not a single backup point guard, like you said, that hopefully Topic steps into. 2 players that can dribble. Shea's your only above-average passer, and even he has a lot of downsides as a playmaker. A big reason why Chet can't get his offense going that well is because Shea refuses to throw a lob. He can't feed a big man to save his life. Like, deeply flawed roster at the pinnacle, at the mountaintop.
Yeah.
So, like, you can say they're overrated, they're flawed, they would lose to so-and-so. Maybe you're right. They'll probably fix those issues in the coming years. And that's what's scary for teams that want to root against them and awesome for us that just, like good teams and, like, want to see good basketball product. That's so exciting to what this team can be.
Yeah, I have the utmost trust and faith in someone like Sam Presti, who's been proven that he's one of the smartest GMs that the league has to offer. The work is not done. Obviously, there's like internal growth that you have to somewhat rely on between Chet, J-Dub, and I guess Shea. I don't know how much he can get better compared to this, but Casey Wallace is going to get better. Who knows what you're going to get out of Aaron Wiggins? There's upcoming picks like Topic and all that, and then all the undiscoverable draft picks that they have currently. And you have to imagine, too, like they're going to find ways to get better because in the future, next year's NBA, so many teams have changed. They have to get better. Every single year, teams are getting better. Teams are seeing what OKC is doing, what the Indiana Pacers is doing, and they just can't sit on their hands. If they were to run back this team next year, I don't know how far, if they could replicate this run. It will be damn near impossible in my mind.
Yeah, they're pretty healthy, so you can't bet on that every year. So yeah, I think in the age of the second apron, in the way that like we said, is going to be increased parity forever. I think we'll see a dynamic more similar to the NFL. I think where every year, if you don't get better, you got worse. Because of the natural parity and because the way you can't stay at the top and maintain your team together, you're going to see a lot of teams propel themselves from like fine or good to great every year. And it might be short runs, a lot of turnaround, but that'll happen a lot. The Magic are probably going to be great next year. They were down in the dumps this year for health reasons, That'll happen a lot. And to your point, they need to continue to put pedal to the metal, find ways to improve the roster around the margins because people are coming. Wemby's coming.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant and the Rockets are fucking coming. Yeah. If Luka ever gets help, he'll be coming 3 years from now, whenever that may be. People will be coming.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw your odds. I had to. Pause. My bad. Fuck.
Thank you.
God.
Thank you.
Can't be mature for 2 seconds.
Thank you. No, but this OKC team, man, this is weird, and they are 100% going to be hated. Like they're gonna go into next season as the favorites. Shea, the commercial was lined up ready to go.
Yeah,
it's like I'm very curious to see where they go because even while we were watching the game, you were talking about like, oh, they had an opportunity to go get like a Cam Johnson.
Yeah. If they would have lost this game, I was so ready to come up here and just be the complete opposite about Sam Presti. Of course, I still think he's a great GM regardless of the fact, but they had countless opportunities to make certain swing trades, whether it be for last year for someone like Mikal Bridges, because they were very much in those sweepstakes. Yeah. Or was it 2 years? No, it was last summer, exactly. They're in those sweepstakes for sure. This year, it ended up being Cam Johnson. They have so many opportunities to just get more juice, whether it be playmaking with a random guard or the 3-point shooting and just offensive punch that someone like Cam Johnson could offer. And Sam Presti was like, nah, we got it.
Do you think they do it this summer?
I think they should. It would be smart.
They probably would.
Cam Johnson's still there. Trey Murphy's there for the taking, and he's not that expensive. Yeah, well, in terms of salary yet, but they had the picks to get him if they want another wing. I don't know if they obviously they don't fucking have to. They want a championship, and I think we can assume when Chet gets his conditioning back under him after not having a hip injury, he'll take a step. So like you could even just say that's going to wait we get better next year. But they could very easily make a jump, like you said, and get a Cam Johnson or get whatever and be even better next year. That's not off the table.
Yeah, I don't think so. And even if they stand pat, the biggest thing that people had to say about this team was like, oh, they're too young. Well, guess what?
They're getting older.
They're getting older. Like they're growing up.
Oh, speaking of that,
all of that experience and the stuff that you see from like a game-to-game perspective, all of that comes with you into next year.
Speaking of that, Mark Daigneault is getting older. He had his growing pains in this playoff run. He right now gets schooled a lot. Against Rick Carlisle, he was asked what it's been like to coach against him for a whole series. He said, humbling. Yeah. And that's goddamn right. He got humbled a couple times. Rick Carlisle made amazing adjustments to defend Shea. And I noticed both Mark Daigneault and Shea had the same pattern. That's probably because they work together. They both, if they take a punch in these big adjustments, like when Pacers in Game 3 decided to start defending Shea 48 feet and really pressure him at Nembhard, folded under pressure. Couldn't figure it out on the fly mid-game. And then it happened again in Game 6 when they did the opposite, when they stopped doing the pressure and they played more lax, did late nail help. They didn't do any initial pressure, folded under pressure, couldn't figure it out, lost the game. Both those times, those big adjustments, they got punched in the mouth. Both those times, they went home, watched film, figured it out, came with a plan, and diced that shit the fuck up the next game. They are both fantastic counterpunchers. As soon as Mark Daigneault gets better at the initial punch and doesn't get knocked on his butt first, and he still has this amazing counterpunch ability to figure it out overnight when he gets to watch film, one day, hopefully, we're going to see one of the best coaches in the league.
The West is going to be a bloodbath. The East, kiddie pool. But it's
Atlanta Hawks 3 seed, we come in.
Are the Knicks making the finals next year?
The who?
Are the Knicks making the finals next year?
Yeah.
Not on our watch. The fuck?
Yeah.
We can start putting.
I'll stamp it right now. New York Knicks 2026 NBA champions.
Champions or in the finals?
Yeah.
Finals minimum.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
Finals minimum. I'm saying champions.
Right so you're not going to be on the Thunder back-to-back team. You're going to be on the Knicks team.
Well, there's two sides to them.
Nope.
Knicks tape.
Knicks tape.
Knicks tape.
Yeah, I do not have any. I saw some people in my mentions were like, "I thought you were a Lakers fan. How dare you bandwagon and like this team?" I'm like, bro, if you think I'm gonna just lie to myself and say the Lakers are gonna win the championship just because I'm a Lakers fan, you're out of your fucking mind. This team has some work to go. So I say it to say I can't even be as optimistic as you can about the Knicks because you guys are in the kiddie pool conference, like you said.
It's so
you have reason to tell yourself you can be optimistic.
It's so bad, and obviously like with Tyrese's injury tonight. To not have the Celtics, to not have the Pacers, to once again, and I'm putting pen right now. Yeah. To not have Joel Embiid in the Sixers.
I thought you were gonna say the Bucks. Damn.
He just had to get it off his chest.
To not have them.
Also fucking Embiid, by the way.
Yeah. God damn.
Ain't nothing wrong with him. He just sucks.
To not have any of those four, automatically we're gonna be a top four. It's like home court advantage is locked.
Yeah, probably.
It's great.
And yeah, we'll talk about that in the coming weeks for sure. That a lot of big moves will happen this summer because of the nature of both conferences right now. Like the East, I would say we don't know what to make of it right now, but there's no reason to even think about it because it's gonna look vastly different a month from now. I feel like we can guarantee that the power dynamic we see right now will not be the same as by the end of free agency.
It better not be. If you're in the East right now, you have to be looking at your staff and saying, what can we do to make a move? Like we have to take advantage of this opportunity. And if you're not, you're moving very scary.
Yeah. Literally, it's like I don't want to say it's now or never, but the opportunity is.
It's for sure now. But it's pretty much now or never.
Yeah, exactly. It very much feels like that. Just a couple of days ago, I was like, damn, I remember we just made this KD trade video. Just posted that clip. It's doing well. Fuck, bro. I just woke up from a nap. I should have said, and I just somehow envisioned the Atlanta Hawks trading for KD. Damn, I should have said this on the goddamn podcast. Obviously, that didn't happen. We're going to talk about that later. But again, I don't want to say anything to embarrass myself about my team because they've embarrassed myself time and time again.
I got to ask the question that we've been bearing the lead, the thing that ESPN talks about, obviously, but we haven't necessarily touched on. What does this OKC championship do for Dak Prescott's legacy?
What?
The people want to know.
I mean, listen, if you're in a small market and you're able to win the title and you are the quarterback, the face of the Dallas Cowboys, with all the resources at your disposal and you still can't win a title, failure, bust.
And what does Shea's success say about that? How does that exasperate the legend?
I don't know. Well, I'll answer your question with another question.
Okay.
How does this OKC championship and Shea winning a title affect LeBron's legacy?
Oh, we don't want to go there. It's getting scary for the king.
Paramount.
No, but like, man, what trajectory is Shea on right now? Like, we mentioned it earlier that like you don't really see this like MVP, Finals MVP, championship combo with guards ever. Like, and I mentioned that it's one of the most unique rises of a young star, but like. People were saying, I think I saw it was Brian Woodhorse was talking about, I'm ready to put Shea in the Hall of Fame regardless what happens. And people were obviously like, what are you talking about? Stop glazing. This man's clearly a Hall of Famer already now. Like, that's not a question.
Even if they didn't win the title, he was going to be in the Hall of Fame.
He's MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That should be the territory bare minimum in my mind.
I guess what I'm asking is, does this feel the same way to you guys that it felt like when Jokic and Giannis secured their legacy and won the championships? You know, I think we think about them as at their peaks a little bit better of a player. I think we all think those are both like top 20 players of all time. I don't think Shea's quite as good as that at his peak. Not far off. Also an MVP. Also led his team to a championship, Finals MVP. Like, do you feel like we're watching like the third coronation of this generation of star?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
It feels different than Giannis and Jokic because they had won multiple MVPs prior. We had seen them make runs. Like Jokic had been in a conference finals. Giannis had been to the conference finals before. And so there was a little bit of a buildup and it took a little bit of time. Everything that happened in OKC happened so fast. Yeah. And this is also their first one where it's like, they go 40-42, number one seed, second round, and then title.
Exactly.
So this is like their first at bat in the championship window.
Yeah. And so it doesn't feel as momentous. It doesn't feel as like, oh wow, you finally got this off of your back. It's like completely
because you didn't have the failure first. That like 2020 Giannis was like, dude, he's never gonna win. The wall kicks his ass. Last year was like fake hate. Like it was a second round exit, but it was like, you know, a young team first time being there. If they lost this year, then you would have got that real criticism. But this is really the first at bat of the championship window, and they did it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people still don't really understand how insane this is. And to what you said when it comes to computing how Shea compares to Giannis and Jokic's the biggest moments of their careers, Shea didn't have as many failures, and it's so hard to see how great that is. It's almost like I feel like right now I ate my food too fast. Like, damn, that shit was good, but I didn't really digest it fully and really witness and go through how insane this is compared to other legendary performances. So when it comes to going back to like talking about and thinking about like the all-time run that Shea is in, I'm not gonna like sit here and be like, oh, he's better than like D Wade and like Harden and stuff like that. But I will say he is creeping up. He is in those conversations. He belongs in those conversations in my mind. I remember a couple weeks ago we made some segment talking about who is this fan's most beloved player, and for OKC it's a famous argument that we usually have. I'm always like, yeah, it's Russ for now. Yeah, it's Russ for now. Yeah, it's Russ for now. But as soon as they hold that banner and those rings are on their fingers and they hold up that championship and the MVP and all that, conversations will change. And seeing him hold that up,
I think that's when it started with them starting calling me a Glazer for Shea, because I said that if they win the championship, he's going to be their greatest Thunder player of all time. And they're like, yo, quit glazing. It's Russ and it'll always be Russ. And like you said, like this is the start of this window. The resume is going to be, it's not going to be a conversation in terms. I think by the end of this run of who accomplished the most in a Thunder jersey.
Yeah, and
which is no disrespect to Kevin Durant or Russ. They're fucking amazing careers, but
you got a chip.
Yeah,
you got a chip, and then also for that era, you got to the finals in 2012 and didn't get back to the finals. It's not even like you had another opportunity. You lost in conference finals. You had injuries to KD and injuries to Russ and all that. The Shea thing, also where I think it's different from Giannis and Jokic is that right now, I don't think Shea has a peer. Like Giannis and Jokic were kind of going back and forth. Embiid was also in that class, and so
Luka.
I think Luka's Shea's peer, but right now Luka's
bad time to say that.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, it's weird.
Currently, you're right, but I think he will have a peer. I think Luka's.
That's fair. That's fair.
Obviously, I'm of the opinion he's going to bounce back. I have expressed interest in believing that to be true, but I'm not writing him off. So I think that over time that'll happen. But right now, you're right. There's no guard that looks him in the eyes.
The guard that everyone wants to look him in the eyes is Ant.
Oh, he'll get there too. Yeah.
But this also Luka got to the finals last year, and I think overall, like if we're going peak for peak, we'll probably take Luka over Shea.
It's close.
If they're both
Close.
like at their best though, like maybe Luka more often than not, but conversation.
It's up for debate.
Yeah,
It's
whatever,
up for debate.
whatever.
That's like they're so even to me when the defense is brought into account. That's
Exactly.
That's close.
Whatever. So those two are right here.
Yeah.
I think if anything, this title puts more pressure on Ant because
Wait, why?
Nice spin.
because that's the guy that everyone wants to be on Shea's level, and it's I just dominated you and your team in the conference finals. I have a ring. Luka's been to the finals. We love Ant, and obviously
3 years younger.
yeah, he's. I
feel like
I think he like he's going to improve, and I'm not gonna like hold anything and or, like call him a fraud, but like there are obviously levels, and so it's like for you to now be at this level, the expectation has been set for this next like generation.
I hope we see Shea, Luka, Ant be this next version of Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid. It's like the three peers of each other switching MVPs. Yeah. Now I think Wemby might throw a wrench in that and have something to say, but I really hope these three guards is like.
I hope so, but he also like hasn't been hurt, hasn't had that.
Well,
opportunity.
year two.
Yeah. I like what you're talking about when it comes to Ant. But I would rather divert the attention to someone like Luka because he's someone who we thought would be at where Shea's at right now in terms of he's going to have the finals MVP. He already had a scoring leader, of course.
Nico Harrison.
And he's going to go ahead and raise up the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the year. We had all these expectations. There's been several times where all of us eventually like said, no, this is Luka's year to win MVP. Never fucking happened just yet. For a slew of reasons, of course. But nonetheless, you're right. Right now, like Shea doesn't have any peers because of circumstantial things. Anson he just got drafted like 2020, whatever, and he's 3 years younger. Luka went through injuries, but I mean, yeah, you're right. It's really just like him standing alone in this conference, and that's what like makes his accomplishment feel something even more grander.
You know
at
what's
this
crazy?
point in time.
If Nico Harrison didn't trade Luka, I think they would have had by far the best chance to upset the Thunder.
100%.
Aside from the Pacers who pushed them to 7, so they had the best chance by default. But in the West, dude, that Mavs team, if they would have kept Luka this year, could have gave them problems.
100%.
What a dumb fuck.
100%. Even when Luka hasn't been at his best in LA, when he plays the Thunder, he's like, "Oh, this is food." Like, it's not even regular food. It's Michelin star. Like he gets so excited to play OKC and all of the bully ball that Caruso and Lou Dort that they do on everybody else. That it just doesn't affect Luka in the same way.
So I guess we're talking about other teams that aren't the Thunder in a Thunder celebration episode. We say these are the players that are like coming for their title.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are the guys that are gonna have to go through in this title defense. Presumably at some point, we didn't even talk about the Lakers having new ownership. We'll talk about that in the future, I guess. Luka will get the necessary arms to be in the race against OKC at some point. Wemby and the slew of players he's gonna have now with Fox and Dylan Harper presumably will be there at some point. Ant has already been there multiple points. He'll continue to elevate. They have a lot of competition out there in that conference to maintain where they are. The second seed that's also young got Kevin Durant now. They're going to be a crazy threat. Going to be a fun time in the Western Conference for the next 4 years of what we think will be the OKC era. Bro, if they stay there.
J-Dub got hit a ring in his 3rd season. That's madness.
Chet got a ring in his 2nd season while being raw.
He didn't play for the 1st year. In the 2nd year, he had good 2nd year, whatever. 3rd year, went ahead, broke his fucking hip, which is insane. How often do you hear about people, NBA players, breaking their hip?
Never.
Barely, bro.
And I'm glad he mentioned it in the celebration talk because obviously the talk is he's been bad in the finals, and goddamn, he has. He has been atrocious. Part of it is physical. Part of it is mental. Not here to cut him any bail or anything. He played like shit offensively. Defensively, great series. He is so bad offensively right now.
Yeah.
In large part because of the hip injury. And like he mentioned it, the mental wherewithal to deal with that and miss 50 games, your hip is cracked. It's broken. This is not a normal hamstring pull. It's not an ACL where it's like, okay, I got to come back a long period from now. I'm kind of have to mentally accept that my season is over. His hip is broken, but he's still trying to come back in the season. You never see that. It's not a surprise that he looks worse. He looks physically not the same as he did. Go watch highlights from last year as a rookie. He moves entirely different. Completely different. His lower body is so weak right now. He's not nearly as athletic, can't jump nearly as high, isn't nearly as quick because of that, and they still won. When we do our rankings in the summer, I am still going to rank Chet just as highly as if he'd ever got hurt because I have all the faith in the world that next year we're going to see the same version of Chet that we thought we'd see. That this is like a blip.
I don't think. Yeah, it's a bad series, but the reasons why I love Chet so much, he still showed, and all of it is like on the defensive side of the ball.
And again, he was ass. Don't think we're not saying he was an ass. We could be Glazers, but he was ass. We get it.
Yeah, like through the amount of ass that he was on the offensive end, whether it be the missed dunks, whether it be missing just point blank layups, and missing lobs, and all, it was embarrassing. And his ability to not shoot the 3-point well, astounding. It's like crazy, bro. The defense is insane. It's a defensive player of the year.
5 blocks tonight.
Just a couple of episodes ago, I think we did like our playoff awards, and I named him the defensive player of the year. I am continuous. I'm always going to remind you about how ass he played offensively throughout the entirety of the series. But the defense stands still, and with that aspect trait alone, immediately makes him positionally like so fucking valuable, and just being at least a slight threat to shoot the 3 ball. It's insane value. So I get it.
Again, just to start.
I still won't rank him that high, though. I still can't do it.
Shout out to Thunder, man. Shout out Thunder. 52 minutes of glazing. We were here, man. A year of glaze paid off.
I was a trailblazer. I died for the glaze, and I slowly withered away. I did have Shea underwear. Sorry that you weren't there to witness it. Too late. Too bad. So sad.
Yep. Shout out them, man. So that's the finals. Let's talk about the second part. So the second thing we got to talk about. We got to talk about somehow the first... This happened on the same day as Game 7 of the finals.
Dude, this happened while KD was on stage during a Fanatics event getting interviewed by Joy Taylor.
Dude, we got to talk about...
Taylor Rooks.
Taylor Rooks, yeah. Wrong one. We got to talk about...
Yeah, get that right.
Get that right.
Get that right.
We got to talk about Kevin Durant's next chapter. Kevin Durant is now a member of the Houston Rockets. A long, drawn-out trade saga has finally come to an end with a result that is not a surprise to anybody, but, you know, the package, the final outcome of how we got here is interesting to talk about. The Phoenix Suns are trading 2-time NBA Finals MVP Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 pick in the 2025 NBA draft, and 5 second-round picks. Not a great return. We're grading this trade. We're grading for both sides.
Okay.
My first thought. Actually, tell me your first thought.
I think, okay. It has been reported that in a couple days, Adam Silver is going to announce expansion. I think that with that, he should also remove Matt Ishbia from the Phoenix. Yeah. I think this is one of the worst trade packages that I understand. Kevin Durant is 37 years old and he's old, and you were never going to get the original package that you gave out. But to send all of that out to get Kevin Durant and to not get Jabari Smith, one of Jabari Smith, Cam Whitmore, Tari Eason, any one of those guys.
Reed Shepherd, someone.
Players who don't play for the Rockets, by the way. Cam Whitmore does not touch the rotation. That might not change next year.
Exactly. But to not get any one of them in this deal, and now if you are not rerouting Jalen Green, to then in the fall say, we are going to start Jalen Green, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, you, sir, are a criminal. You're awful.
Investigate that man.
You're awful.
So this trade, obviously, you know, lots of teams were linked to Kevin Durant. Okay, so yes, I'm grading this an F for the Phoenix Suns.
Yes.
But I'm understanding of how we got here to some extent. You get an F because this is an outright horrible package for Kevin Durant, even at his advanced age, to put it lightly. This is a bad trade package. Jalen Green, to me, is a negative asset. If you still want to sell yourself on the star upside, neutral asset. He gets paid like a star, so that's fine, right? Sure, you can tell yourself that. Number 10 pick is a good pick, not an amazing pick. It's not a top 5 pick in a top heavy draft class. Dillon Brooks is a good role player to have. Maybe they get another first round pick for him. Cool. It's Kevin fucking Durant.
Yeah.
Dude, a couple years ago, they gave up 3 times as much of this. And this was like a bidding war between the Rockets, the Timberwolves, the Heat, and the Spurs at some point, and reported other mystery teams. The Raptors threw their hat in there. The Nuggets reached out. Lots of teams trying to get an offer in. All of them lowballing the Suns. All of them saying, here's some pennies. Will you take it? Because the Suns had zero negotiation leverage because they're dumb as fuck, and they announced weeks ago that they're going to have to trade him. So they just basically put themselves in the position. They looked 5 guys in the face, gave them all guns, made them point it at them, and let themselves get robbed. That's exactly what happened. It's their fault.
Yeah. Although it's their fault still, you're right. Like, it just will never sit right to just look someone like Jalen Green in the eyes, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 overall pick, whoever it may be. Good pick, bad pick. We don't know what it is.
Shout out Carter Bryant or whoever they're going to take with that.
Yeah,
Shout out
Carter Bryant. Yeah. Shout out Derek Queen. Whatever it might be, who knows? But that alongside 5 second-round picks, who cares? If I am Devin Booker, you do not understand how irate and also depressed I would be. You were just 2 games away from winning the NBA Finals at this point 4 years ago now. And you're left with the roster of Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks. Bro, that's 3 other guards other than you, bro. 3 other guards other than you. Regardless of what happens to Jalen Green, this is a terrible position to be at when you're someone like Devin Booker who had the potential to be, I don't know, this is the debate. I'm not having this debate with you guys at all, but someone who could very well have been a Hall of Fame level player, one of the greatest Phoenix Suns of all time. He still is that regardless.
Yeah, he still is.
But to be left with this at the dead ass prime of your career is embarrassing. And at this point in time, it's like, what type of basketball are we playing?
This is probably the best they could do. They probably took the best offer for now in the future, whatever they gauge as what's important with the assets on the table. This is probably the best offer they got because, like I said, everybody was lowballing them because of the lack of leverage they had. And Kevin Durant is old as hell. He hasn't slowed down to the point where he's not a star yet, but when you're turning 37 this next season, any year can be the year where you fall off, right? Like that's on the table for sure. That weighs into the equation. Nevertheless, I'm sure if you're a Suns fan, you can see that, you can acknowledge that, you can tell yourself that they did the best they could. Not a big deal, right? A win overall, but it still has to feel terrible when you were in the finals, like you said, you had this young core, everything was great. You added Kevin Durant. You thought you're going to be at the top of the mountain because you added a top 5 player in the world at that time to an already existing core of stars, and you watched it wither away, move by move, Bradley Beal by Bradley Beal, Tumani Kamara out the door by Tumani Kamara out the door, Yusuf Nurkic in the door, all these little moves around the edges that slowly got worse, and now you're at the point where it feels like Kevin Durant pillaged your team and left you with just rubble.
It's not his fault.
It's not
KD's fault.
Of course not. But the experience was a complete failure. It's Matt Ishbia's fault over anybody.
100%.
James Jones' fault over anybody.
The way that they were protesting outside of Dallas after Luka got traded, I'd do the same thing in Phoenix.
Yeah,
where I'm bringing coffins to the stadium. I'm bringing pitchforks, maybe no fire, but I just don't understand what the conversations are like for all those reasons that you said. What are they talking to Devin Booker about? What are they telling him? Are they just looking him in the face and being like, Kevin Durant is 37 and Bradley Beal has a no trade clause. I can't really do anything.
And that's true.
To right, like they are in a mess by the consequences of their own actions.
Yeah, honestly.
So like, there's not a way out. They also have no picks.
Yeah,
outside of they got 10 obviously, but like for the rest of the decade, like their picks aren't there. They didn't. That's also another thing. They didn't even get any one of their picks back.
Honestly, I'm so close to calling these guys the dummies of the decade. If Nico Harrison didn't exist, well, honestly, he may get a pass because of just luck. It just happens to be that way in the NBA sometimes. Dummies of the decade because genuinely, since the year 2021, they haven't made a single good transaction. I guess if you want to look back and call that KD trade, good trade, whatever. It's needless to say, looking back at it now, obviously, like you kind of wish you didn't make that trade and you would have kept all those assets that you had way back then. Every single transaction that they made, they fucking lost. Whether it be a young player that they drafted, of course, the guy that they selected last year, I forget his name now. The wing that they drafted,
Ryan Dunn.
Yeah, Ryan Dunn seems like a very promising player. But outside of that, they have not made a single good transaction, whether it be trade, a signing, whether it be front office moves. I think recently I've just seen something happen to their GM. Bro, it's so bad all around. What's on my screen right now, Isaac?
James Jones.
Dudes be like, Subway sucks. My brother in Christ, you made the sandwich.
That's Matt Ishbia. He's like, how did we get here? My hot dogs are so cheap. I'm doing all the right things as an owner. I wonder how we got here, Matt. I wonder how this happened. I wonder who could have foreseen this. I wonder who could have been responsible for this.
Yeah. So like the Suns, awful. Now for the Rockets, hey, shout out to y'all.
That's funny.
Shout out to Raphael Stone because you messed up, right? You took Jalen Green with that pick. Does not matter.
Nope.
You made up for it right now. And aside even like outside of the minutia of what pick went here and how many second round picks go.
Vocab.
You went and you said, I'm going to trade my 2 most frustrating players for the best player in the deal. On that in itself, you won the trade.
Yeah, to me, A+ for OKC. For OKC, for Houston. And there was a lot of debate on whether or not a team this young should be in the market at all for a 37-year-old star, right? You're accelerating your timeline. You could potentially be accelerating it too fast when the rest of your young core isn't ready, and now you have to win because KD is obviously in win now mode because you only have so many years left that it's a real debate on how much you want to give up for a player that is so out of tune with the rest of your perceived timeline. If it's this cheap, who gives a fuck? You are so much better now. He checks exactly what you needed offensively from a shot creator. Defensively, I'm licking my chops to see Kevin Durant with so little defensive pressure on him to be like your 5th best defender in your lineup, 4th best defender in your lineup. He's going to be fantastic on that end. With the IQ defenseman these days, obviously gives him better shot making. They're going to be huge. And like, to me, getting off the Jalen Green contract is like an under talked about W. Like, that is fantastic. Get the best player. Don't got to have him on your books long term. So even if KD leaves in a couple of years because he retires, like, who knows? Now your books are cleaner because you don't have Jalen Green. All it took was a 10th pick in the draft when you don't need to add a young player at this point, and you still keep your future Phoenix Suns picks for when they're a nightmare in 2027 and so on. I can't explain how big of a W this is. Like, A+ doesn't do it justice for how good I feel about it.
I agree. A++. There you go. That may be enough justice for you. Talk about timeline issues of how potential fans may perceive this. Bro, they just like escaped a timeline of torment and hell and disappointment with Jalen Green and the type of player that he's shown us to be and might project to be throughout the entirety of his NBA career, which is just full of inconsistencies. When it comes to someone like Kevin Durant, you're right. Like, he has been and probably will forever be, in terms of like talking about longevity, the most underappreciated superstar that the NBA has to offer because LeBron's clouded that and he's fucking LeBron, for God's sake. But seeing how KD's over the year has just been more, when he doesn't get to the rim as much. Yes, like when it comes to being able to be forceful in his way and just have a certain level of explosiveness, that's fucking gone.
Yeah.
But regardless of the fact, like, he's still one of the best shooters in the league. I think he shot like 42% from the 3-point line this past year on like 6 attempts. He is the perfect fit on this roster across all the boards. And what is our future starting lineup going to be? It's Fred VanVleet, Amen, I assume.
Amen, Kevin Durant, Jabari, Sengun. And that fits like a glove. It makes a men's life easier because obviously he can continue to develop at his own pace.
And be a demon.
No pressure to be a go-to shot creator next year. If that happens, it happens. But all the time in the world. This helps Sengun so much because he finally has a real starter run a 2-man game with, a real consistent, reliable shot maker that can make it so Sengun doesn't have to be your primary scoring option. He can be the good supporting all-star he's meant to be. I don't think it's a slight to him to say that he shouldn't be the best player on a championship team, at least as of now at this age. I'm sure if you're a Rockets fan, you have faith he gets there. I'm not here to shoot that down, but it helps him a lot to be able to slot into a much less pressurized role playing off of somebody like Kevin Durant on the offensive end. It makes Jabari Smith's life easier because he can continue to just do his thing and be the defensive Swiss Army knife that makes him good. Even less pressure on him to make an offensive leap as time goes on. It's overall, like, there's really no downside to me.
I want to go back to the timeline thing because, one, I don't give a damn about timeline.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even if
fuck time.
Yeah. Do you know who just won the NBA championship? Fuck a timeline.
Even if I did, saying like, oh, we can't go after KD because it's gonna mess up the timeline, it actually perfects the timeline. Okay. Because for what you said, if they go and they give KD like a 2-year extension, right? And you have like three more years of KD.
Yeah.
Whenever he's done, Amen's gonna be like 25. Like all of the guys that you are counting on right now to develop in terms of Amen, Sengun, Jabari, they are now going to be in those ages where you look at in the NBA and say, oh, you're in your prime. Oh, you are going to be like who you are in these fully fledged stuff. So for these next 3 years, you get to develop with Kevin Durant on your team. And then whenever he's done and he's 40 years old, now you have a team full of fully developed players that have been in-house the entire time. Like your timeline from here to the rest of the decade, it's set in stone. It's locked, and it makes sense.
I can't wait to see how it looks offensively.
Yeah.
Like, Ime Udoka's a fantastic defensive coach. Not like the worst offensive coach in the league, but not amazing. Kevin Durant is like, he's like used to playing in garbage situations now, and he gets his own. Obviously, famously will like be the most resilient superstar. So obviously he helps their spacing first and foremost. They're going to be better shooting. You imagine these double big lineups that made them work so well last year with Steven Adams and Sengun. Kevin Durant can get his game off even with that weird wonky spacing. He can get to his mid-range jumpers. He'll make the spacing better. You have him in the opposite corner. That helps a lot spacing wise. And then playing through him, I think him and Sengun could work in a two-man game. Kevin Durant isn't quite the cutter he once was, but he's still really good running off of screens, can still do dribble handoff stuff, can still run off of pin downs. That plays into Sengun's playmaking. I'm interested to see what Amin Thompson looks like, because I think this kind of... Actually, no, I don't know what I think here. Do you think this incentivizes him to be more of an on-ball playmaker next year, or incentivizes him to continue to be like the Swiss Army knife wing?
I think both things are true for me personally. Like, obviously, KD like relieves a lot of pressure from someone like him, and he will not be asked to look for certain things, whether it be the on-ball playmaking at times, because Fred VanVleet's going to be there and KD's going to be there, and Sengun's going to demand a certain level of attention too. But I think they can definitely do so much experimentation with this, because again, KD is 37, 38, going to be 37, 38 years old. You don't want to have him do a lot of the things and mask as a point guard or two guard at times. I think you very much want Amen to do a lot of the same things that he did last year in tenfold.
And you still kept Fred VanVleet to keep everything together and running smooth.
Yeah.
That's where we kind of have to have the conversations, because I mean, Fred is he's just not efficient enough as a scorer. And so like, I think when you ask about Amen, yes, like regardless of having KD there or not, I need you to do more, because we've seen Fred, especially here in Houston, not be, super efficient and chucking shots. So I would like to have a little bit of a different look.
Because he has to.
Yeah,
so
that's
Kevin Durant helps. I think Fred VanVleet is a little bit of an unsung hero to like what he does for that offense then, as a playmaker.
Yeah.
He's going to be 31. He's a smaller guard. Like the days where he like could be in the system and it would have been better because he was younger and a little bit more athletic for whatever size he is. Like those days are gone now, and so I do think that at this point in time,
Fred VanVleet was athletic. The hell?
That's
what did that happen?
I'm just saying, like, you lose athleticism over time, whatever.
I think for someone like Fred VanVleet specifically, he's in a specific crop of guards where it's like your efficiency doesn't matter because I know the type of shots you take. You take bombs, bro. You take like 35 footers, 30 footers all the time. So that really doesn't move me more, because you have, I think, when it comes to consistency of scoring, that responsibility belongs to someone like Alfred Sengun and KD, of course. And then you can, whatever Fred VanVleet can give you, 10 to 12, 15 points, whatever, you will take it.
He's going to be just like the point guard. He's going to shoot a lot less, which is good for what you're saying. Yes. So that makes me like him. It's good for him too. I mentioned everybody's good for. It's damn sure good for Fred VanVleet. He can be the vocal leader because Kevin Durant's not going to be more efficient
too. Yeah,
it'll make him more efficient. Doesn't be relied upon quite as much. He'll be the vocal leader. Kevin Durant will be the vocal buckets.
And also too, like Reed Shepherd is still there. He probably might crack the rotation next year. I don't know if that's
God,
for
I
sure.
hope so.
I don't know if it doesn't happen.
I hope so.
Does or doesn't? Who knows? But I mean, that's someone who could be there for you as well, Dom, who can release some pressure off of someone like.
And that's
are the Rockets making the conference finals next year?
It's there in the conversation.
We're ducking all this stuff. Is this the move? Are they over the hump? Do you see them as the biggest threat to OKC in the West? That's what this is all for.
Yes.
You had a top 10 player on your team immediately. Yes, you are like.
What about the Mavs when they get Kyrie back the second half of the year?
Nah.
Cooper Flag.
They're too far off, I think.
Are they that far? I mean, it depends what Kyrie looks like.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know what Kyrie looks like, and then this is Cooper Flag's like first year.
If he looks solid,
Anthony Davis has to be like healthy throughout the year.
If Cooper Flag can just be juiced up PJ Washington, and you got two of them. You got Anthony Davis, and if Kyrie comes back looking good, like they might be a threat year one.
That's fine. It's Kyrie's not going to do it.
They could.
Well, he could. We've seen ACL recoveries.
I believe someone. I
but
believe.
First
Kyrie,
year in season is tough to. So, that's a lot of pressure up on him. So but outside of them,
So the Mavs, I'm gonna count out right now. Obviously,
okay.
I have all off season to change it, and I probably will. The Mavs, I'm gonna count out. Spurs, I don't think that their depth is good enough to take them to the conference finals.
No.
But they could be frisky.
Okay.
Denver.
Who knows? They're gonna make moves, but who knows?
You want to give Jokic some type of credit, but like it's tough. So I'm gonna say no for Denver. I have to pull up the standings right now.
Timberwolves with another year of this core, they're probably gonna lose.
No. I'll take Houston over Minnesota right now.
Yeah, I got Houston firmly number 2 right now. Like they had one of the most hellacious defenses, and the only thing that was stopping them was their offense. And I think their offensive rating wasn't even like god awful. They somehow made it work.
They had a hellacious defense. They just traded the worst defender in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
They had an inconsistent offense. They just traded their most inconsistent offensive player.
Yeah,
they're gonna be better.
Yeah,
they're gonna be a lot better.
The Lakers.
Who knows?
TBD.
They have
TBD.
They have stuff. There's so many
Clippers.
On paper,
I think they're going to be better than the Clippers. Yeah.
On paper, the Rockets are the biggest threat right now. A lot is going to change.
Who
A lot
knows?
is going to change this summer. We're going to see more moves. The landscape of the NBA will be different 2 months from now. We can guarantee that.
Memphis.
Go to hell.
You're joking, but they have a lot of. When I say the landscape will be different, it's because teams like that are like loaded up with picks and can make some shit happen. So like you say it as a joke, we might look up a month from now and they have fucking Giannis to go vote.
I know.
We have no clue what's going to happen, but as of today, I think the Rockets have really positioned themselves well. Like I buy them now. Like we were obviously. We appreciated them this past year, I think by the end of the season, but it's no secret that we've doubted them and some of their best players on their teams.
And why? Why did it? Because it's not like we were just out here like, oh, you guys are fake for no reason.
No, we weren't wrong. We weren't wrong. Their offense was not good enough at the end of the day, and like we didn't believe in them. I believe in them. Kevin Durant moves me, along with progression from their other players, like another leap from Amen Thompson. Hopefully, Reed Shepard becomes the player that we hoped he could be. More players that can make sizable leaps. If Cam Whitmore can channel his scoring acumen to be a efficient player and play winning basketball, whatever that means. There's reasons to believe in them on the margins, and the giant Kevin Durant added to the equation, I think they're going to be a legit conference finals threat.
I absolutely agree. If they simply just like exit out someone like Jalen Green and included KD into that Warriors series that they played, what did it go 5 or 6 games?
7.
Wait, what? 7 games?
Yeah, it was a war.
Wow. Rockets Warriors this year?
Yeah.
Yes, it went 7 games.
Wow,
it was a
war. That's crazy. I don't remember 7 games at all.
Yeah, it's a long play. It's been a long playoffs, man. It's a late night. But yeah, that was a war. They almost beat them. And to be fair, the Warriors aren't like the measuring stick for winning. It wasn't like the Thunder, but the Warriors were a very good team before Steph Curry got hurt. So that was a very respectable loss. To your point, building on top of that, I would feel very good if I was a Rockets fan. And I know half the Rockets fans have like a civil war on Twitter over the past year, where Turkish Sengun fans and Jalen Green AAU fans like hate each other and swear their guy is like the future of the team and the other one's holding them back.
Got bad news for both of you.
Got bad news for half of you. You didn't win the war. You lost the war in dramatic fashion. Don't know where Jalen Green's gonna be playing. Sengun fan, the Turkish nationals, you guys win.
Wow, bro.
I do have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
Now that he has been traded in Jalen Green, do we expect more Wingstop commercials next season in Phoenix? I don't think it really makes a difference between Houston and Phoenix. But now you've moved on from the secondary team. You're no longer the young star. You're now just the guy who got moved. Are we seeing more commercials?
I think he has a lot of bills to pay over the next 18 years, and he's a good agent. So yes.
Fair.
I'm gonna go ahead and say yes.
Okay.
The most an underlying talking point to this too that you mentioned briefly was that the Phoenix Suns weren't able to go ahead and get their own pick back. Well, yes, technically they did with the 10th overall pick, but that's like damn not irrelevant, but it's just like whatever piece. That 2027 pick that's unprotected moves so fucking much because who knows what that roster is going to look like at that point in time. I think Bradley Beal's contract may be expiring. Who knows at that point in time. But just to find out, like, they still have another move up their sleeve along with, again, like their own first-round picks too. It's ridiculous. Yeah. This is a S-tier run that this front office, this new era is in.
Shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves for dodging a bullet. You guys tried to trade Rudy Gobert for Kevin Durant. I'm glad you got saved from yourself because that defense would have been set up to massively disappoint next year, I think, if that trade went through.
A plus.
I'm glad
A
they got
plus
saved for
plus.
themselves.
A plus for the Minnesota Timberwolves, bro. They didn't even do shit. A plus for them.
They should make moves. I do not think this is the one for them. It is the one for the Rockets. It is the one for the Spurs. It's probably the one for the Heat. Was not the one for the Timberwolves.
The Miami Heat.
I know.
Yo, this roster sucks.
Hey,
Who?
man,
Phoenix.
Hey, we buried them enough.
This is crazy.
If people are still here, what should they comment? Comment more Wingstop commercials.
More Wingstop commercials, man.
Who?
Arrest Matt Ishbia.
Matt Ishbia, you are sentenced to 1,000 lashes.
My neighbors are going to call the cops.
1,000 lashes. What's going on, man? These guys in the basement are just lashing each other. I just hear belts and screaming.
With that being said, shout out the Houston Rockets for trade for Kevin Durant. Shout out to OKC Thunder for completing the trilogy, completing the prophecy, completing what we all expected up here on this couch, in these chairs. Hey, man. Shout out to 2024-2025 season.
Off season's here.
Off season is here. This is like damn near my favorite season of the year.
What's next?
It's Crayon Eater season. It's trade season. It's
fabrication.
It's ranking season.
It's
storylines.
This is the real season for NBA fans. NBA fans are chronically online. They're addicted to transactions. Now's your time. It's gonna be good. Should be a good summer. Should be lots of motion.
Ooh, this is gonna be fun.
Here we go. We're jumping straight into draft. Like 2 days later. It's crazy.
That's insane.
We gotta change that also. Like,
nah, I like it.
2 days later, it's too fast.
Yeah, I like it. It's chaos.
All right, man. We'll see y'all in a few days.